all set.
Thank you. Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the Town of Dayton Planning Board, the regular meeting public hearing held remotely for Wednesday, July 15, 2020 at 6 p.m. Due to the increasing concerns surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting / public hearing will be held remotely with no physical meeting location. Those seeking to provide public input should do so using the methods listed below. A video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast Local TV 9 at a later date. A live recording of the meeting will be available on the Town of Dayton YouTube channel, which can be accessed using this link, www.youtube.com/Town of Dayton. Public input phone line during the meeting is 508-669-6431, extension 114. Leave a voicemail if necessary. The public input email before or during the meeting is keasterday, at dayton-mass.gov. Use the email subject line public meeting /hearing June 17, 2020 public input and include your name and address for the record. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. Would everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, members of the board, I'm going to confirm the next meeting date of August 2020 for 6 p.m.
I will make a motion to have the next meeting on August 19th, 2020 at 6 p.m.
Motion been made by Mr. Boner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Figueredo. Any further discussion on the next meeting date of August 19, 2020 at 6 p.m.? Hearing none, let's vote individually. Gentlemen, Mr. Boner.
Aye.
Mr. Figueredo.
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo.
Aye.
Mr. Rhines. Aye. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to read into record a letter of recognition, and this was dated on July 15th of 2020 to Thomas J. Pyers, 3223 Millers Lane, Dayton, Massachusetts, 02715. Dear Tom, on behalf of the Planning Board for the Town of Dayton, I would like to extend our appreciation for the amazing work done by you as an elected member of the Planning Board. Your diligence, self-motivation, as well as dedication to always go the extra mile in order to achieve the best possible results is really admirable. The board knows the amount of effort that you put into your position, and we want to assure you that your efforts are recognized. Once again, thank you so much. We're lucky to have you on the board. Sincerely, Timothy F. Rhines, Chairman. So, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to put this into the record and to also send this up to the Board of Selectmen so it can be read at a Wednesday night meeting under, at a Wednesday night meeting.
I will make that in form of a motion.
I will second.
Mr. Boner.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Figueredo.
And also, I'll second it, and on the top of that, I want to thank Tom personally for that, for everything and stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Figueredo. There's been a motion made and been a second. Do I hear any further discussion on sending this letter to Mr. Pyers personally and up to the Board of Selectmen to be read in the meeting? Hearing none, let's vote individually. Mr. Boner?
Aye.
Mr. Figueredo?
Aye.
Mr. Woods?
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo?
Aye.
Mr. Rhines? Aye. That passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. First order of business this evening, you're going to see that the agenda was modified for this evening's meeting. So we're going to go to 5B, which is review, discuss, and act, accept the peer review consultant quote modification of an existing special permit at 0 Smith Street, map 14, lot 16-2-A.
Forgive me, Mr. Rhines, Chairman
Yes.
Rhines. We should do item number 5B with Long-Built Homes first before we open up the public hearing.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I read the wrong thing. I'm looking for my glasses on, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, 5B is a preliminary discussion on Hunters Hill with Mr. Lee Cascanghetti of Long-Built Homes. Sir, you have the floor. You'll have to unmute yourself, sir. We cannot hear you at this point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Again, thank you and appreciate the opportunity to appear before you to present the issues that we have before us. I don't know if you have a copy of the email to Kerry in front of as I emailed, we Hunters Hill project to purchase the remaining 106 lots. There are 34, as you're probably aware. The first 34 lots that were allowed under the original permit to be served by the leaching field. And the project can go no further without a sewer treatment facility. So we're in our feasibility period under the purchase and sale agreement. The purchase is contingent on us having to satisfy certain criterion related to the project, not the least of which is the ability to design and obtain a sewer treatment facility. But as we were going through the permits and approvals, we came across a couple of items in particular that jumped right out as issues that definitely need to be addressed by you. They're both in your decision. The first one in the decision for approval of the definitive plan, the second one in the decision for the special permit. I did not obtain any feedback or paperwork. I know this has been through a whole lot of different parts. A lot of time has passed, but nobody had any information available to provide to us regarding your condition number 12 in the definitive plan approval that required the construction to be completed within 3 years. Or the approval would be automatically rescinded. So we certainly need to know from your perspective if you're of a mindset to extend that time frame to enable us to get involved and get the project up and running again and complete construction of the infrastructure and the remaining 106 homes. The second issue relates to construction of the golf course. And as I indicated in my email, I'm not really sure how feasible a 9-hole golf course was in what I think was 2006 when this was approved. But whether it was or wasn't then, and I don't believe it was then, with the passage of time, there is absolutely no economic feasibility to a 9-hole golf course, not just at that location, but virtually anywhere at this juncture. So we're proposing to eliminate the requirement for the golf course and just allow the open space parcels as shown on the plan. We're not looking to modify anything physically, any of the boundary lines or anything of that nature. We just want to convert that to passive recreational open space. So our hope is to poll the board and get your feedback on your thoughts on entertaining a modification of each that would satisfactorily address both of these issues.
Sorry.
Does this mean you're asking us that question? Is that what you're looking for right now?
Yes, exactly.
My question is, what is it that the advantage of that to the town of Dayton? And also, what are you going to do to compensate the people that are living there and bought there in hopes of obtaining or having a golf course? How is that going to work?
Well, we haven't approached the homeowners there, because quite frankly, there was no sense in putting the cart before the horse. If you're not of a mindset, eliminate the golf course, then there's no point in pursuing it any further. We'll just bow out of it and move on.
A point of order, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Timothy, you're muted.
Hey, Tim.
Yes, Mr. Woods.
Why don't we work on condition number 12 first? Because that's the first thing that he sent to us in an email. So let's get that out of the way.
I think we'd probably be in agreement that would be the condition that we have to work on first, because as was stated, that condition had an expiration date of 3 years. So that would probably be the first thing we'd have to act on in order to go forward. I think that I'd agree with that. Any of the members have any input they'd like to have?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Seeing that the project was approved in 2006 and the 3 years have long passed, I can't speak for all board members, but this board member would definitely be willing to negotiate something on condition number 12.
I feel the same way, but at a different meeting, because this is just a discussion. No one else is involved, the residents, nobody. But I would be in favor of that myself.
I as well.
Mr. Cavallo?
Same here as well. I agree.
I would tend to agree, gentlemen, with that. This is not the forum right now this evening to make that type of decision. We have to have the applicant come back to us again in a formal meeting. We can discuss it this evening, just in general. I'd just like to make the statement that searching Google and going on the internet, that development is still being sold as a 55 and over with a 9-hole golf course. I'm not sure if anyone's alerted to that fact, but it is being still sold as a 55 owner community with a 9-hole golf course. Now, I believe we have a resident here this evening, and I'd like to let him speak. Kevin, if you're there, can you hear me? You'd have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I am here, Tim.
Would you please identify yourself by your name and your address, please?
My name's Kevin Perry. I live on 3075 Clubhouse Drive. My purpose here wasn't for speaking tonight, but if you'd like some input from me, I have no problem with offering it.
Yes, this is just informal as it is right now, but it will be included with the record of the meeting with the minutes. So it's just an informal discussion.
Understood. What would you like to know?
You have the floor, sir. Have you polled any of the residents you live with within the confines of the development to get a generalized idea of what their wishes are at the location?
Well, I have not, because until this meeting occurred, I didn't have much to really discuss. However, if what you're implying is there a fair amount of residents that moved here with the thought of having a golf course sometime in the future? I would have to indicate yes.
And that would also include clubhouse and amenities, that type of thing also?
That would be part of it. That's something that drew me to the development when I purchased here 3 or 4 years ago. And, of course, my hopes were of that. But I would like to add also that I would keep open consideration to see the development move forward too, because that's also important. So there's always give and take in any decision. And sometimes there has to be some flexibility to see a project move forward. So I'd like to leave it like that.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Perry, for your input.
If I may
Yes, sir.
interject,
Sure.
just as a point in response to Kevin, we're not seeking to eliminate a community center. It's just literally the golf course feature itself. We would still plan on constructing and providing a community center.
Thank you, sir. Do any of the members have anything they'd like to add?
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Cavallo, your thoughts,
Chairman.
sir? I'm sorry, Mr. Bourne, go ahead.
Back in 2005, when this first started, I was the only current board member that was on the board at the time. And this was billed as like it's still being sold as today, a 55 and over golf course community. I, for one, would love to see this golf course being built. Being a golfer, being someone who has a place on a golf course in Florida, that's what drew me to purchasing my home in Florida. Was it's right on a golf course with easy accessibility. And with that being said, it would be very, very hard for me. They would have to do some serious convincing on either the current or the future owner of the property to entice me to change my mind on that. I'll leave it at
Understood.
that. Thank you.
Understood. Yeah, we have had other developments that have come in the past and recently in the last few years that have picked up, I hate to use the term, other people's messes. And they have gone by what the decisions were voted upon by the planning board and continued to rebuild or build out those communities. So Mike, personally, I'd like to see the plan stay as is. And I know that there is a call. There really is a call for golf courses. The golf course in Rehoboth was only sold because there was property that the individuals did not want to take care of anymore. So they decided to try to sell it for homes. And that was 15 years ago. I played golf there. And we played golf until a sign just went up recently. I know that the Firefly Golf Course, the Seacock had gone on, but that gentleman, no one's saying anyone, but I believe there was a $4 million purchase price for that property, and that property was sold for development. So I believe there is a call in the area for a golf course, especially in the Dayton area. Because I know if it were to be open to the public, that type of thing, it would be feasible. That's just my opinion, personally.
My view of this is that these people that purchased there were promised that there was going to be a golf course on there. And as far as I'm concerned, those promises have not been met. And I don't see any way that anything can be worked out any different. So I agree with Robert. I am not in favor of not building the golf course at all.
Okay.
I am personally not a golfer, but I have to say, kind of echoing the other members' opinions here, that if people have bought into this community and, reading through the decisions and findings that Kerry sent back in 2002, 2004, that golf course is one of the private elements of this development, and the people that are there now bought with that in mind. And I think it's a big selling point for people who are coming in there. So it'd be a shame to try to remove that at this point. I think it should proceed.
Well said.
Thank you.
My opinion at this point.
Okay, I'd like to weigh in myself, Mr. Chairman. And one of the reasons I'm against giving waivers or anything else for anyone is because it'll come back to bite us in the future. Just like, if we allowed this to be removed, the next developer will come to us and want something else removed. It's just like when Stonegate came across from Town Hall. We had to change everything to appease them, and it's still a mess over there. So, I'm not in favor of changing any of our decisions. When they come to us with this great plan, and they're gonna do this and have that. And then when things don't go their way, then they want us to change our minds. And the next developer comes around and tells us, well, you changed it for this project and you changed it for that project. And as long as I'm on the planning board, that's not gonna happen. That's all I have to say.
Understood. Somebody ready to wrap this up. Mr. Castagnetti, I'm gonna give you the last word for the evening, sir.
Oh, my last word is simple. I greatly appreciate your feedback. We're out. The project under those conditions is just not economically feasible. So, what you're left with, if you're not willing to consider any flexibility, is you're left with a 34 home community, and those people will never get their community center. They'll never get a golf course because it is not economically feasible. Nobody in his right mind will ever build one there. And they'll have an incomplete project. So that's their alternative. But I appreciate your feedback, and we're out.
We'll have a lot of open space.
Thanks. You will. You will.
Thank you, sir.
Sure thing. Thank you.
That being said, we're going to move on to item number 5C, which is to review, discuss, and act on the acceptance of the peer review consulting quote modification of an existing special permit at 0 Smith Street, map 14, lot 16-2-A.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Yes.
just like to note that I'll be leaving the meeting now and I'll be talking to you guys.
Good night, Peter.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Wayne. Thank you. Mrs. Easterday, who's covering that subject? Is that Mr. Dan Diablo?
Yes.
Mr. Diablo, good evening. Tim Rhines, I'm the chairman of the planning board.
Good evening, Chairman Rhines, members of the boards. My name is Dan Diabru. I'm with the firm Brennan Recupero. I have an office at 1 Church Green in Taunton, and I'm joined tonight by the petitioner, Michael Rodericks, and also Brad Fitzgerald from Senator Fitzgerald and Gilbert. Shall I continue?
Nope, I'm sorry. Before we move forward, we need to accept the proposal for the engineering services on the matter, and then we can open up the public hearing. Sorry, Mr. Danabru.
Quite all right.
So as you know, we have a new town consulting engineer. They provided their proposal, and typically we would accept the proposal before the hearing, but because of our scheduling with summer schedule, we didn't have the time frame to do that first. So before we open up the public hearing, we need a motion to accept their proposal for their 53G account, which the applicant has already posted and it's already been established. So that part is all set. But we just need a motion to accept the proposal for the engineering services for the project review of the special permit of a retreat lot for lot 2A Smith Street.
I'll entertain that as a motion.
Can I have someone take the motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank
As
you.
stated. Thank you.
Motion been made. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Figurito. Any further discussion on the acceptance of the peer review consultant quote modification? Hearing none, let's vote. Individually, Mr. Boner,
Aye.
Mr. Figurito,
Aye.
Mr. Woods, Mr. Cavallo,
Aye.
Mr. Ryan's aye. Thank you, that passes 5-0. At this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to open the public hearing for Michael Roberts for the modification of an existing special permit at 0 Smith Street, map 14, lot 16-2-A. Entertaining a motion to open the public hearing, gentlemen.
Make that motion as stated.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Cavallo and seconded by Mr. Figurito. Any further discussion and open the public hearing? Hearing none, let's vote individually. Mr. Boner,
Aye.
Mr. Figurito,
Aye.
Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo,
Aye.
Mr. Rhines. Aye, thank you. With that, Mr. Diablo, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Thank you again. So this is a petition for a special permit. The retreat lot in question was created on March 7th, 2018, and the plan was recorded. The deed restriction required therein to prevent further subdivision was recorded on April 2nd, 2018. And Mr. Roderick's, the property was conveyed to him by deed on April 11th, 2018. He retained the services of an engineer and was going about the preliminary work to construct a home on the property. He desired and still desires to construct it outside of what was shown on the A&R plan as the buildable area. He desires to construct it in an area that does meet all applicable setbacks. And in the course of his interactions with other town officials, it came to light that a special permit had not been recorded at all on the property. And as I read the bylaws, at least the current version of the bylaws, that probably should have been done prior to the A&R plan being approved and recorded. But in any event, that's what brings us here today. So he's proposing to construct on the home, on the lot, a single-family home. It is forward of what was shown on the A&R plan as the buildable area by approximately 80 feet or so. His proposed driveway would be on the southerly side of the lot, but it would meet all setback requirements, and I suggest that it would meet all the legal standards under the state statute, as well as the bylaws, sections 591, sections 594. I could address those further if you like, but it seems to me that the board, in approving the A&R plan, implicitly already found that it was a suitable lot and suitable for a single-family house to be constructed thereon. So I'm happy to proceed further in more detail, or I'm happy to take any questions that the board might have. But the request is that a special permit issue permitting him to construct the home as shown on the May 18th, 2020 plan of land that was submitted with the petition.
Any of the members like to speak on this topic, please, gentlemen?
I have a question about that letter that was, Carrie, you sent it. It was dated July 13, 2020, was the Green International Affiliates peer review of this drawing here.
Yeah.
This was a review of the latest version, the May 2nd, 2020 petition.
So Green International Associates is our project review engineer on this project. And yes, they are the ones that reviewed what is being petitioned at this moment. They did not review the previous special permit that was approved.
Okay.
They were not part of that at that time. So they were looking at the one that's before us now.
Okay, because in that packet, the drawing that I see is dated April 2nd, 2018. So I'm assuming there's a later version of this somewhere. Or
April 2nd, 2018. I think you're looking at, when I was providing the packet, I was showing you the previous approved special permit that was approved. So
Okay.
just to give you a little recap, back in 2018, the board approved 2 retreat lots,
Mhm.
which is what that 2018 plan is. There's 2 lots on there. One references 2B and 2A. Before you now is a revision to that 2A lot. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what the petitioners before you right now is showing you, is that he wants to move the house, the location of the original approval of
Okay, so-
2A.
Mhm.
He wants to move it closer to the street. So that's what's before you now.
All right, so in that version, I'm seeing a possible house footprint, 100 foot by 100 foot buildable area on retreat lot 2A. And you're saying he wants to go closer to Smith Street by 80 feet.
Correct.
Okay. Understand. Because there were a couple of items in that peer review document where specifically talking about item number M, when it talks about underground utilities and such, that if you look at that previous version of that drawing, those things are called out in the notes. I don't know if the new submittal omitted those notes. Because if you look at the notes in that packet you sent out, notes 8 and note 8 talks about underground utilities, and note 7 talks about number of dwellings. So there were a couple of contradictions in that peer review that maybe were not addressed in the previous, in the newer submission, but they were in the previous submission. Oh,
Yeah, I know.
I take that back. So item number M in that peer review talks about utilities, utility information not shown on the plan, although note 8 talks about that. And then also talks about a house number of the retreat lot not being clearly visible from the street. If you look at the next note, it actually says that right there, that it will be visible from the street. So I don't know if the new one doesn't have that. That'd be note 9.
Right. So what I can do is, if you gentlemen will give me a minute, I can pull up that review for you if you'd like, and we can go through that.
Yeah, please.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
And bear with me while I try to figure this out. All right, so you have to bear with me because I have to figure out how to do this. And
Trying to share your screen?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to pull the document up so everyone can see it.
Okay.
And I'm not finding the option to do that.
Harry, you want me to come down to your office?
That would be awesome. Can you do that, please? Thank you.
In-house tech support, nothing like it.
Cable committee is awesome.
Angel will be right in.
Thank you. Okay.
Gentlemen, some of you may have it in your package already. I think Mr. Cavallo is referencing, here it is, it's up on the screen right now.
Okay, here we go.
Perfect.
So now you are, I'm sorry, let's do one by one. You were talking about which one?
Okay, I'm talking about, if you go down to the table, element M,
Utilities.
yep, utilities. Said underground utilities shall be provided on retreat lots unless the planning board makes findings in a meeting that underground utilities not practical due to extreme topical or environmental constraints, and on the right, the finding was utility information is not shown on the plan. Intentions to connect to the water service from Smith Street to construct an on-site septic system were stated. But if you look in the previous version of this, of course, I'm looking on, the 2018 submission.
Correct.
If you look at note 8, note 8 specifically says on that drawing, and I'll read it to you, zoom in a little bit.
Yeah.
Note 8 says underground utilities shall be provided on the retreat lots. So it is a generic term, but it is noted.
So I think we should, I believe the engineer is on here as well, right?
I'd welcome him to speak to that. As far as I know, the plan is to meet that condition number 8 from the original April 2nd, 2018 plan, but I would invite the engineer to speak to that, please.
Good evening. I'm Brad Fitzgerald from SFG Associates, 28 Main Street, Lakeville, Mass, with the project engineers. I'm a little bit lost on this. I haven't really been fully involved with it, but the owner and the attorney asked me to provide the plan that's dated May 18th that shows the proposed house location forward of that buildable box. Everything else, I believe, I haven't seen this letter, so I can't address all of it, but I believe that any notes regarding retreat lots are already recorded with the plan that was approved and signed by you and recorded at the Registry of Deeds. All those notes are in there. They carry through. I don't know if Mr. Rodriguez or Mr. Diablo in their application asked to waive any of those. The only thing I was under the impression was that we were asking to not have the house within the buildable square. Everything else regarding utilities, things like that, were all shown on the septic plan because we didn't show it on this plan because they're already recorded in the Registry of Deeds as being requirements of the retreat law bylaw. The only note that's not there, I don't believe, is anything about the 100 by 100, they call it buildable area. So most of those notes are addressed on the septic / site plan that was submitted to both the Board of Health and the building department in the building permit process.
Okay.
So it sounds like, it sounds like, so basically everything is all the requirements that are needed. So for example, the utilities you're remaining the utilities as they are. They're going to be underground. Correct?
I don't know if Mr. Rodriguez or Mr. Diablo are requesting waiver of that.
I didn't
all I'm
see that
saying,
in the,
that's on the plan that's recorded in the registry of deeds.
correct.
Right, I would agree with that. I think the things that are changing from the previously recorded plan are the location of the proposed home, and to the extent that the driveway shown on the original plan was a condition, and I'm not sure that it was, but to the extent that it was, again, I think the plan is to, or the intention is to have the driveway on the southerly side of the lot rather than on the northerly side as shown on that April 2nd, 2018 plan. But as far as
Dan, if I could just, Dan, could I interrupt you for 1 sec? The reason for that driveway being on the left side, it was a requirement because there is a point where it is in conjunction with the lot on the south side that their driveways basically are near each other with a turnaround area kind of behind our proposed house and in front of the house to the south, where emergency vehicles have an area to turn around and use either driveway to get in and out of the two properties. And that was part of the special permit from the retreat lot. That's why the driveway's on that south side of the lot.
Understood. And I thought there was also a question about number 9 that speaks to the house number of the retreat lot shall be clearly visible at the street.
Yeah, Gary, if you scroll down to N, letter N on the next page, this was also a finding that they didn't find a reference to, and just based on this previous discussion, let me just read what it says. It says the house number of the retreat lot shall be clearly visible at the street. And they found that this top plan doesn't show the placement of the house number. But again, if you go back to that previous drawing from 2018, note number 9 says the house number of the retreat lots shall be clearly visible at the street. If that is recorded somewhere, then and we don't have any requests for waivers, then I think that criteria is met. So those two items. The only reason I mentioned that is as I read through this, I said, elements M and N should be yes, not no. Those are both listed as no, and I think that should be yes.
Correct.
And
that doesn't change the fact that that there are other no's in this table that should be addressed. But those two should be yes.
Right, and I mean, however that is typically accomplished, it'll be accomplished in this case. We're not asking for any to be relieved of that. And I hadn't seen this letter ahead of time, but in reading as it's on the screen, as far as those two aspects, I think they've now been addressed.
Right.
Do any other members have anything they'd like to ask?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. Why was it necessary to move the footprint of the house approximately 80 feet?
I think Mr. Roderick's preferred it in that location, partly aesthetically, partly he thought it would be construction-wise more feasible to have it at that location closer to the street.
Well, because it doesn't fall within the 100 by 100 box, so that just piqued my curiosity a little bit and why he felt like he had to move it.
Right, and again, the 100 by 100 foot box, there was a question initially as to whether that existed to show that the lot, that a house constructed on the lot could comply with setbacks, or whether that was an actual condition of the plan. But again, as it turned out, regardless, we had to come before the board to obtain the special permit. So that was his preference to have it constructed closer to the street. I would suggest that that distance from the street, is in accord with other houses in that neighborhood, and certainly I would suggest is will be aesthetically pleasing.
If you look down to lot 3, just south of that one, you can see where the existing house is. So, moving that possible location of 2 Alpha closer to Smith, it's still, looking at the scale there, it'd still be set back from that existing house there, number 1850. But I don't see anything out of the ordinary. If you move closer to Smith, that would cause any concern. There's nothing in that aside from just different grades going in that direction. That's my observation on that drawing.
So even if the house was moved 80 feet forward outside of the box, you are still within the side setbacks of the property to the south side. And I believe you still have the required side setbacks.
Yeah, it appears to.
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah.
Boney, you feel the same way? It appears to fit in. I'm sorry, Bob, you broke up.
Yeah, it appears to.
Okay. Mr. Woods? Any comment? Mr. Figurito, any comments, sir?
Yes, my comment is, we set these guidelines, 100 by 100 is where you have to build a home. If we do this now, 6 months from now, 2 weeks from now, or whatever, people are gonna start coming and asking us to change these things. And I think we are setting precedent by voting on this way, which way. And I'm not in favor of this. So I'll just go that way.
Mr. Woods, any comment? You must be muted.
Yeah.
Did we get anything from Gay to Gay on this? Can you hear me now?
I believe we did.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
We did, but keep in mind that was for in relation to the prior procedure that was taking place, as opposed to what's taking place now. So if you recall, when we originally, when this retreat lot was approved, it was one of the first ones that were approved. And procedure was still trying to be established on how to go through the process. And then at the same time, the office manager that was in this position was no longer here. So there was a lot of shifting going on. So there was, the legal opinion was more of the consensus of what that transpired to. It wasn't really deemed, I don't know how to explain it. It was more of a procedural thing from my understanding.
Okay, let me ask.
Does that help?
Do we have to make a decision on this tonight? Because I am not in favor of making a decision tonight until research this a little further.
You're
May
at liberty.
I address the letter from Gay and Gay?
Sure.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
again, as it turns out, under the bylaws, at least the current edition of the bylaws, a special permit is required in order for a building permit to issue on the lot. And no special permit has been issued by the board or recorded. Not one showing the lot, not one showing the proposed house, you know, within the possible house footprint or within the 100-foot building area. As of now, there is no special permit. So we are asking the board to grant a special permit, and ideally, and I would hope and ask the board to do it to allow the construction of the house at the location proposed by Mr. Rodericks. If for some reason the board was not inclined to do that, then we would still request that the board issue a special permit, you know, in accord with the A&R plan. Again, there's my understanding from reading the letter from Attorney Costa at Gay and Gay was that, you know, there was a question in the building inspector's mind, or maybe there was no question in the building inspector's mind, but there was an issue raised as to whether the 100 by 100-foot possible building footprint or buildable area rather was mandatory, or whether that was just on there as a function of showing that the size of the lot was appropriate and the shape of the lot was appropriate. And Mr. Costa opined that there was no special permit showing with that condition, but no special permit at all. So that's why we're before the board. I guess it's a twofold request or an alternate request. First, we would ask that the special permit issue showing allowing the home to be built where Mr. Rodericks requests, but barring that, if the board were to issue a special permit, you know, in accord with that A&R plan that's already been recorded, either way, a special permit would be necessary. And again, it probably should have been done at the time or before the time as the plan was approved, but for whatever reason that wasn't done.
Correct.
And if there's any questions on that, I'm happy to address it more if that's not understood.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure, Mr. Wood.
I'd like to make a motion to table this till our next meeting.
Motion has been made to table. The table motion is a non-discussion motion. We will vote on the motion to table. Again, gentlemen, this is a non-discussion motion. Motion's been made to table. Do I hear a second on tabling this item to the next meeting?
Second.
Motion has been made and second to table. Any further, this is a discussion about tabling now. Any further discussion on tabling this item between the members? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say, by roll call, gentlemen. Mr. Boner.
Aye.
Mr. Figueredo.
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo.
Aye.
Mr. Rhines. Aye. The motion has been made to table. It is again, a non-discussion motion. The vote was 5-0. A motion has been made to table this item until our next meeting. And Mr. Diablo, our office manager, Kerry, what is our next meeting date? It is August 19th. We'll have to see what is available on the agenda, though.
It will be August 19th. We are planning on having a public hearing for our project review fees. That's about it.
Okay. So with that being said,
I would also,
that would,
excuse me,
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Rhines, I also have
Yeah.
a couple of public inputs. I don't know if you want me to put that in for now.
sure, you can read those.
or if we
Yes, I'd
wanna-
like to read those into the record. Let's see now, motion to table has been made. It's a non-discussion motion. I believe that what we will do is we will add that and include that into the record, I believe would be proper procedure for our next meeting.
Yeah,
So that being said, Mr. Diablo and Mr. Roberts, we're gonna have you on our agenda for, August 19th at, 6 PM. And it will be again a Zoom meeting. Mrs. Easterday, our office manager, will reach out to you both and give you all of the information in regards to tying into the Zoom meeting.
Thank you. May I inquire, Mr. Rhines, is there anything that in particular that I can do or any additional information I can present to the board between now and then?
If you do come across any documents of such nature, if you just email those to Mrs. Easterday, she will forward those to the members, and we'll be able to, you can go through those between now and our next meeting.
If I come across which type of documents?
If you come across any information that would be pertinent to this subject matter this evening, and you could forward that to our office manager, that'd be fantastic.
Well, I've got to ask, so are there any other documents aside from what's in the packet that we need to be aware of? Because I just got this, I've got the 2018 drawings, and then I've got the hearing request, and then there's just the one pager. Is that all there is, Carrie, or are there any other things that were submitted with this special permit request?
Other than my public input, that's all I have. So I'm sorry, I think the attorney is questioning the additional documents. Am I?
Well, I'm just, I know it, you know, it's been tabled and will be addressed next time if there was any particular concerns that the board had or any particular information that it felt it needed from me and didn't have yet. I just want to be able to give the board whatever it needs to make a decision. And if there was something in particular, I was just asking what that would be or what else I could do.
I'm not aware. Yeah, okay. I don't think there is anything. I think they just want to take a even harder look at it, is my understanding from what's transpiring.
No, and that's fine.
But I'm sure they'll let me know, and I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you if there's any additional information.
Please do. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Diablo. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
So
thank you all. Thank you.
Do we want to move forward with the public input, or would you like to?
Yeah, I think it would be best to include the public input right now for the record. So that way those residents who had the opportunity to reach out this evening will be heard.
Okay. So I do have at least 3. I just received an email from Mr. Bill Moore. He does not state his location, but he does say, looking at the recorded plan, it clearly states the 100-foot by 100-foot is buildable area. There appears to be no reason to change this other than cost. As a neighbor, I'd prefer the house set back further from the road. So that's the end of his. I have another one from a Marianne Hershey, who is on 1850 Smith Street. She's writing to express her concerns and disagreements with the proposed plan for Lot 0 Smith Street. My husband and I purchased our home in the fall of 2018. Prior to buying our home, we did our due diligence and researched the properties that surrounded the home and plans for those properties. We reviewed the plans for both retreat lots to be built. We had the understanding that the houses would be within a designated area next to each other and set way back from the road, since these are considered retreat lots. We had an understanding that a retreat lot in Dayton is meant to prevent overcrowding and keep the streets aesthetically pleasing while still being able to use the land for residential purposes. When an individual purchases a retreat lot, he or she should do their due diligence and research all zoning requirements before making that purchase. Buyer beware. With that being said, a house placed on a retreat lot under standard zoning laws completely disregards the purpose of having a retreat lot. Why have zoning laws if they will just be overridden? If this is allowed, then what is to stop another retreat lot property owner in Dayton to consider changing their plans and request a variance to change the location of their house. The current location of the proposed home is buildable, and I see no reason that the house need to be moved further up than necessary. My questions are, why does Mr. Rodriguez desire to move the building out of the proposed area? Are there any other plans to develop the property, such as outbuildings, etc.? If so, what type and where? The current location of the proposed home maintains the beauty of the land that was once a farm. Moving a house outside of the standard zoning area for a retreat lot will detract from the beautiful landscape of Smith Street. Please consider our views for this matter. Thank you. And then I have another email from a Mr. Robert Brimmer, who is the owner of that abuts the property lot. You're lot 2, forgive me, you're lot 2A, so he's lot 2B. I am forwarding the perk test for the entire old farm. Look at the last page, you will see the only perk tests are on lot 2B. On lot 2B. Lot 2A only has one test pit because the large boulder is in the way of additional testing. I also want to state for the record, I had a conversation with Mr. Rodriguez. He told me his intention is to build a metal building on the side of the house I am building and have a machine shop so he could work on equipment and cars. This becomes a big problem for property values in the neighborhood. When you drive by his property, you will see he already started to bring junk like a large box truck and an old tractor and a Ford SUV. When he is angry, he throws rocks through the windows. I believe he puts his house in the 100 by 100 block that was set forth by the planning board. It would keep the neighborhood cleaner and help with property management. Thank you for considering my concerns, Robert Brimmer. No phone calls. And forgive me, I just want to check my emails one more time. Oh, and Mr. Moore just noted that he is at 1835 Smith Street. And I'm just going through one more time, so bear with me.
Sure.
And it looks like that is all I have for now.
Thank you, Mrs. Easterday.
You're welcome.
So this time, members of the board, I am going to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Excuse me, Mr. Rhines, you do not want to close yet.
I'm sorry, continue.
Yep.
I'd like to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing, I'm sorry, until August 19th at 6 p.m.
So move.
Motion been made by Mr. Wood. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Cavallo. Any further discussion on the continuance? Hearing none, let's vote individually. Mr. Boner,
Aye.
Mr. Figueredo,
Aye.
Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo,
Aye.
Mr. Rhines, aye. The matter is continued until August 19th, 6 p.m., 2020.
Mr. Rhines, forgive me.
Yes.
Mike, forgive me, you had your hand up.
Mike, you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Yeah. He's unmuted, but we can't hear him. I'm not sure what's.
Who's that?
The applicant, Mr. Rodriguez,
Mr. Roberts.
but I'm not sure why we can't hear him. He's not muted.
I don't see his hand up.
Well, if you see, there's a little handprint on
He is
his,
now. He is
See?
now. I can wave him.
He's
I can wave
waving.
him.
but I don't know if his iPad has a microphone. Do you have like earbuds? Do you have earbuds that you can use?
Yeah, we're not hearing you, sir. He just went off. Where did he go?
Oh,
He's
wait a
back.
minute. He's back.
Back again.
There he is.
Here you are. Thank you. Oh, we lost you
Oh.
again.
Yeah. Is anyone showing mute on your end? Because I'm not showing mute on mine.
I'm not showing you mute at all, no.
It
don't
it's
know why
showing
we're
a
not
muted
hearing
mic
you.
there for a second, but then it disappeared. So when you connect with Zoom, you got to connect with audio. If you don't, it doesn't even give you the option.
All right, so Mr. Rodriguez, down at the bottom on your pad, on the far left side, sometimes it'll have a little icon that'll say audio. Does it give you that option? No. All right. Not sure what's going on.
There you go. His mute icon just showed up again. So he's just
Yeah.
got to hit unmute on the app. It's connected with audio.
Now he's on mute. Do you have earbuds? Do you have earbuds with the microphone? Okay.
Are we able to get him in yet?
I think he's looking for some earbuds with a microphone. I'm hoping that'll help.
So, no.
Why don't we leave this for the next meeting?
What's that?
Why don't we leave this so he can speak on a meeting?
Yes, we've already made a motion on the table, so I think it would probably be in the applicant's best interest to make his comments at our next meeting. Because technically, this matter has been closed until we
Oh, wait a minute.
vote formally. There he is, he's back. No, we're having difficulties here.
No, we're
Yeah, we
not
don't
here.
want to have a back and forth after we tabled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attorney Diabreu, what do you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, the Zoom is,
Yeah,
my experience, shown to have some
pros
pros
and
some
cons.
This apparently is one of the cons. I really don't have any way of knowing what
Yeah,
you'd like to address at this point, but, again, the board has already voted to continue the matter. I will obviously be speaking to Mr. Rodericks
okay.
in the near future, and hopefully then I'll be able to address any concerns that he has, but
Okay,
where the board's already voted to
continue.
continue it, I'm not sure that
Yeah,
anything's going to change tonight, regardless of what Mr. Rodericks has to say. Oh, it's unfortunate,
Yeah,
that we can't hear him, but I'm not sure what else we could do about that presently.
Okay, yeah, yes, I'd agree. We've already voted on the matter to continue, so I would like to, again, thank Attorney Diablo for being in this meeting this evening with us, and of course, the petitioner. And we will have the petitioner speak in our next meeting, or he can forward his comments to our office manager, I think would be best. I'm sure through his attorney.
Whatever's easier.
Whatever's easier.
I'll certainly speak with them, and whatever matters need to be addressed, I will coordinate that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Good night now. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Okay.
So do we make a formal vote on continuing?
Yes, you did.
Okay. With that being said, we're going to move on to item number E on your agenda, which is to review, discuss, and act on Mr. Robert J. Wood's resignation as our Serpent Commissioner. Woody, before you speak, I just wanted to say a few things. I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Woods in many capacities in the town on many boards, and he's always been a go-getter. You ask him to complete a task, he goes after that task, he completes it. And we're going to miss having you as our Serpent Commissioner, Woody. You know, so that I just wanted to say that. Bob, I don't know if anybody else, any of the members have anything before he gives his formal resignation or not.
That's okay, Joe. Fine.
All right, so at this time, we're going to act on Mr. Woods' resignation as the Serpent Commissioner. Terry, I'm sure you received a formal letter from Mr. Woods stating his resignation as such in a date.
Yes, I did.
And that'll be included in the records with tonight's meeting packets. So at this time, it's with a heavy heart that I'm going to accept the letter of resignation from Mr. Robert J. Woods as our designee to the Serpent as serving as a commissioner. So I'm going to entertain that as a motion, if I could, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll motion to accept the resignation letter of Mr. Woods dated Monday, May 6th, 2020.
I will second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on Mr. Woods' resignation? Hearing none, let's vote. Roll call again, gentlemen. Mr. Figueredo?
Aye.
Mr. Boner?
Aye.
Mr. Gavago?
Aye.
Mr. Rhines? Aye. Woody, we're not going to let you vote on your own resignation, so that's not possible.
I wasn't having.
Thanks again.
Believe me.
I'm sure you were.
I will say that these meetings are very informative and that I learned quite a bit going to them. And there's a big group of people that show up a month, and there's a lot of information for all cities and towns. Sometimes it's geared more towards the city, but there's a lot of information for small towns too. And if nobody's there, we don't hear about it because nobody's going to come knock on our door. So whoever takes the position needs to show up every month.
Thanks, Woody. So with that being said, we voted. I'm going to move on to item number F. I'm sorry, letter F, and that's review, discuss, and act on the appointment of a Serpent Commissioner for the remainder of the year. Do I hear any nominations for a Serpent Commissioner? Any nominations for a Serpent Commissioner? Any nominations for a Serpent Commissioner?
I'll nominate Joe Figueredo.
I will second.
Mr. Figueredo, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
That was easy.
That was easy. Thank you, Mr. Figueredo. So with that being said, I'm going to entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Joseph Figueredo as our Serpent Commissioner. representing the Town of Dayton Planning Board.
Make
I
a
will make
motion.
that form of a motion.
I'll second.
Motion been made. Motion is made and seconded by Mr. Cavallo. Any further discussion on the topic? Hearing none, gentlemen, let's vote. All in favor by roll call. Mr. Boner.
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo.
Aye.
Mr. Rhines. Aye. Mr. Figueredo, you can't vote for yourself, but you could technically, but.
Aye.
Thank, Joe, thanks for stepping up, taking that position, and, Woody, thanks a lot for doing what you've done, and man, it's been a big help.
Thank you, Woody.
So we appreciate
Problem.
that.
Yep, thank you very much.
So that being said, I'm going to move, under 5B. I'm going to go to letter G, which is to review, discuss, and act on the closing of the 53G account for the Bristol County Agricultural High School. Kerry, would you expound upon this a little bit for us, please?
Yes, so back last year when we had our site plan review for the Bristol Aggie, they established a 53G account. The 53G account has been appropriately billed by Peter Williams. He's assured me that there is no future billings and there's nothing remaining to be billed. So they are ready to close out. As of May 5th, there is a balance of $1,987.41. However, keep in mind, it is an interest-bearing account. So if you do make a motion to close the account so that we can refund the money back to the applicant, I would suggest that you just make a motion to close the account with the monies that are in the account, because it is an interest-bearing account, so it's accruing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
So I've been assured that there is no additional billings. There's nothing outstanding out there. There's no further work that we need to do on our behalf. So we're done with our part and we are ready to close the account out.
Okay. I'm going to entertain a motion to close the 53G account for the Bristol County Agricultural High School with interest.
I make that motion as stated.
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Cavallo and seconded by Mr. Bona. Any further discussion on closing the 53G account for the Agricultural High School? Hearing none, let's vote. Mr. Boner.
Aye.
Mr. Figueredo.
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo.
Aye.
Mr. Rhines, aye. Thank you, gentlemen. With that being said, I'm going to move on to item agenda number 6, and that's to, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 17, 2020 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Figueredo and seconded by Mr. Boner. Any further discussion on the meeting minutes of June 17, 2020? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor by roll call. Mr. Figueredo, Mr. Boner.
Aye.
Mr. Figueredo.
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo.
Aye.
Mr. Rhines, aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Mrs. Easterday, do we have any correspondence on item number 7?
We do not.
We do not. Any public input from the public this evening?
I have no further public input at this time.
All right, I'm just going to expound on a few things myself that before we wrap things up. Again, I want to thank Mr. Woods for being our representative to Serpent and Mr. Figueredo taking over and filling that position. I know I say this monthly. Mrs. Easterday has stepped up and done what we have needed to have done for our board to meet. And that's Zoom meetings and, sending out correspondence and that type of thing. Gentlemen, just keep in mind that next month, I think we're going to begin the process of adjusting our fee schedule. It needs to be done in accordance with what our new engineer is charging. It's already been said. Mrs. Easterday has gone around to area communities and looked at what their fee schedules are and we need to make the proper adjustments going forward. So we're going to be looking at that probably beginning that process next month. I'm not sure if we're under the same parameters as the Board of Selectmen or anyone else that raises fees. We have to vote on it 3 successive times is something that we may need to have to look into just to make sure. Or can we just raise our fees without, we could have a public hearing and then go about adjusting the fee schedule as needed.
According to our rules and regs, the only thing that we need to do is, forgive me, is have the public hearing. And then, once that's done, we should be all set. Forgive me, I have someone calling.
We may have some public input. I'm gonna let Mrs. Easterday take that call, gentlemen. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add for public input?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Woody?
I'm
Mr.
good.
Woods?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Cavallo?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Remember, I won't be here next month, right?
Correct. Our office managers alerted me to that fact. So if you travel, be safe wherever you may go.
Thanks.
Business, I'm sure. Business never ends.
Yeah, it's for work.
It's to say.
I don't know, if I'm looking at Mrs. Easterly, she looks kind of serious there in the corner.
Sorry, I was multitasking. I missed what you were saying.
Okay, that was just commenting if that was someone on the phone, if they had a little public input before we're gonna wrap things up.
It was a public input, but it was for the retreat lot, public hearing. So I just informed them that we will bring it forth at our next meeting when we reopen the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
So no further public input. Gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion we made in second, a motion made by Mr. Cavallo, seconded by Mr. Boner. Any further discussion on adjournment? Hearing none, let's vote. Mr. Figueredo has left the meeting. You told me that. Send me a text. Let's
Okay.
vote. Mr. Boner?
Aye.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. He came back.
He's
Mr.
back.
Figueredo, we're adjourning the meeting.
You want
We're
my
voting
vote?
now. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yeah, aye.
Mr. Cavallo?
Aye. What happens if I say no?
Mr. Ryan? Aye.
Please
You're
don't.
here for the night.
Well, it doesn't
Before
have to be
we
unanimous.
log off, just a reminder, members, next month is August 19th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Mrs. Easterday will forward all the pertinent information for our next meeting. Cable, thank you as always, and we are formally adjourned.